Hello everyone, Silent here, and welcome back to another episode of Bugrock of the Week. Today I'll be showing you a bunch of brand new bugs in the recent 1.16 update that you should know about. We've had a couple of smaller updates in the recent months that have added a bunch of smaller bugs, and then one or two major bugs as well. So absolutely everything in this video is brand new and brand new bugginess. There's a couple of pretty major things that you should definitely be aware of, that way you don't get caught by surprise with them when playing in your world. And then of course there's a whole bunch of really small common bugs that you might run into as well. Overall, just a bunch of good stuff for you to know about. Also, before we get into things real quick, this is actually episode 99 of this series. So next episode, I want to do something special for your faces. If you got any special ideas for a special, then let me know in the comment section down below. I got a couple ideas of my own, but I'm still not entirely sure what I want to do to celebrate 100 episodes of this series. That is so many episodes. Anyway, let's hop into the video. Let's get a couple of these quick fire bugs out of the way right at the beginning of the video. So right before us here, you can see that we got 4 different minecarts, right? Yes, actually, you can see that these two in the middle look exactly the same. That is because this one right here is an actual minecart that you can ride in, and this one right here is a hopper minecart. But as you can see, the actual hopper inside of the minecart is not rendering at all, and that is a new bug in this update. Another bug with minecarts is that when you are riding inside of a minecart in first-person mode, sometimes the minecart will render in front of your face, as you can see here, and this only happens when you have certain texture packs applied. So if you put on too many texture packs, it might not happen. If you only have a couple on, then it will happen. If you have no texture packs at all, then you won't notice this happening in your world, and overall, it's just a very strange, little inconsistent one. You can see that we don't even need to be riding inside the minecart. If we look up into the side a little bit, then it starts to render upwards as well. Next up, we got a tiny one where if you are holding a fishing rod, your arm does not move when you are, looking at it. As you can see, my arm is perfectly stationary. It looks so weird. It is such a strange thing. I know it's a very small bug, but it's like a really, really creepy bug. I don't know what it is about it. It's just creepy, man. One that you might experience in your worlds is no elytra flying noises, like none of the swooshing noises. Now, right now in the redstone testing world that I'm playing in, I do have the elytra noises, as you can hear, but on truly Bedrock, we don't have those noises for some reason, and I know quite a few of you guys have also been experiencing this as well. And next up, we have a very tricky little bug having to do with experience orbs. So these things are super tricky in this new update, and they don't actually appear where they physically are. So let's go ahead and just throw a bunch of bottles of experience into that little water stream down there, just like an absolute ton of these things. Now you can see that the majority of them are staying right there in the water. I am way too far away to be affecting them and trying to pull the XP orbs towards the player, but as you can see, a bunch of the experience appears to still be sitting down there in the water. Meanwhile, some of the experience has traveled up the bubble column. Now if I go stand right here, pay attention to what happens to those XP orbs down there. As you can see, I'm going to collect a whole bunch of experience. You heard the sounds of it, and all of that experience down there has now disappeared. So basically, the actual physical location of the experience orbs can be very different from where they visually appear to be. So if you see some experience lying around, like in your mob farms or something, it might not actually be right there. It's really weird, and this happens again with no texture packs. As a result of this bug, some experience farms are going to be giving you invisible experience. So if you're sitting at like a guardian farm that delivers experience orbs to you, you're still going to be getting a bunch of experience, but it's all going to be invisible. Meanwhile, the experience visually appears to be inside of the guardian farm cells or what have you. Very, very tricky stuff. While I'm on the topic of experience, I would also like to mention that experience orbs just go up water elevators like really, really slowly. As you can see there, it's just like super slow. It's probably about half the speed of like a normal mob or a player going up a water elevator. Now this behavior is also present on Java Edition, so I'm not sure if it's like intended or if it's a bug, but I'm gonna make a bug report for it because it's something that I've noticed that seems a little bit amiss. And next up we have a super massive bug that you should definitely be aware of, having to do with end portals going to the end and nether portals, actually. So if you are aware of nether portals, then you'll be aware that sometimes they'll teleport you to the wrong location. Like if you're at 100, 100 in the overworld and you go through another portal, you would expect your coordinates to get divided by 8, but sometimes it'll send you to 100, 100 in the nether, so you'll be in the wrong location, and this is a really big deal for nether portals. But this also happens to end portals now as well, which is actually an even bigger deal because, you know, the end is made out of void, and if you don't go to the spawn platform, chances are you're gonna be in the void. I've tried quite a few times to get this to happen in my solo world, but unfortunately it is a very inconsistent bug, which is actually kind of a good thing, because you do not want this happening often in your world. However, Ladardar, hopefully I'm saying the name correctly, posted this little video in our Discord server that you can see here. Now, this is a very short video, but it does show the bug in excruciating detail. So, as you can see, you basically just drop straight into the end portal, and then you spawn at the coordinates that you were at in the overworld, but in the end dimension, and you essentially fall directly into the void and die more or less instantly. So if we watch this frame by frame, you can see that they go into the end portal at 512, 629, and you can also see that as soon as they load into the end dimension, they are also at 512, 629. Now, the second that they load into the end dimension, they're at Y7, and they're already taking damage. A couple frames in, you can see they've already lost a couple of hearts, and they're already below Y0. Now, keep in mind, you can't even use firework rockets below Y0, so it's literally unescapable, and you just can't do anything about it. It is a really terrible bug, and it's something that you should definitely be aware of in your worlds. I am currently not aware of how to reproduce this, so be extremely careful when going to the end dimension. Maybe put your stuff into an ender chest first, and then get your stuff out of the ender chest once you are safely in the end dimension. Unfortunately, I can't show you this next bug either because I play on the wrong device. However, bows and crossbows can appear to be invisible when playing in the nether. As far as I'm aware, this does not affect PCs, however, it does affect other devices, and you can see some pictures from the bug report on screen right now. So as you can see, for me playing on a PC, these armor stands over here are indeed holding all of these bow and crossbow types. However, if another player joined this world, like on a Nintendo Switch for example, then they might not see the armor stands holding anything at all. This can be particularly sneaky when fighting different mobs in the nether. They might not appear to have a weapon, but then they, like, you know, suddenly start shooting you with arrows, and that can be a very sneaky thing indeed. And also, it's just a little bit weird to be holding a bow in the nether, but the bow be invisible, so keep your eye out for this one. And next up, we've got another bug with lava. So this one has to do with when you are placing lava in the world. Sometimes the lava will just get straight up deleted. I'm not sure how old this bug is, so it might not be from like the most recent updates, but it's still something that you should probably be aware of. So basically, if you like try and waterlog something, but with a lava bucket, it's just gonna straight up delete the lava. So if we were to place lava on top of any one of these buttons, as you can see, the lava is just completely deleted. It's not there anymore. It's not even like invisible or anything. It's just straight up deleted. Whereas if we tried to place water right there, it would just waterlog the button. Now, this has happened with basically everything that I've tried. So I tried with all the different button types. Of course, it happens with all of those. It happens with hoppers. It happens with the anvils, the grindstones, the chest, cakes, and ender chest. It happens with fence gates and pressure plates and signs. It even happens with things that you would think that lava would replace, such as the corals. As you can see, I can place the lava right there. It just gives you some coral particles, but it actually ends up deleting the lava instead, which is rather fascinating. Also happens with the end portal frames, but not if you click on the side of it. You have to actually try and place it inside of the block, such as like right there. Happens with the glass panes. You get the point. It happens with basically everything that you would normally be able to waterlog. So be aware of this when you're placing lava in your world, as it just might straight up delete your lava. And this is kind of like a lava trash can if you want to use it in that way. And of course, this also happens with slabs as well, but not if you place it directly on top of the slab. As you can see, it places normally. On the side of the slab, it also places normally. You have to try and place it inside of the slab by clicking on another block. for it to then get deleted. So real quick, we're gonna go ahead and confirm 3 different villager, zombie villager, and nitwit related bugs. So bear with me, we got a little bit to cover. So the first bug is that the nitwits can actually be killed by a zombie and then of course it turned into a zombie villager. That is perfectly fine. But when we cure this guy, he will no longer be a nitwit villager. So we'll come back to bug number 1 in a second. Bug number 2 is that zombie villagers do not shake when cured. As you can see, this guy is just standing perfectly still, but he's got the particles. He should be moving and grooving and shaking all over the place as they do when cured, but that does not happen in this update. Bug number 3 is when you log out of the game and then log back in as a zombie villager is being cured, then they instantly cure basically, which is surprisingly useful. So as you can see, when we log in, this guy is instantly cured. So that is bug number 3, and wrapping back around to bug number 1, the nitwit is now a librarian villager because he has linked to the lectern that is right over here. So these guys can actually get mending and all of the other enchantment books as well, and then of course they can turn into whatever form of villager you want. As you can see, he's now just a plain default villager, and you can use him for all of the goodies around your world. So if you have a bunch of nitwits, you can kill them with a zombie, cure them, and then use them for whatever else you like. Next up, we have a very silly bug with different items as furnace fuel. Now this only affects regular furnaces and the blast furnaces. It does not affect the smoker. Now you can actually use the golden nuggets, nether bricks, and iron nuggets as a fuel in a furnace. It takes 10 of these in order to smelt down a single item. As you can see here, it is a very bad fuel source, and this is absolutely a bug. None of these things should be able to be used as a fuel in a furnace, but as you can see, it is a 10-to-1 little conversion right there. Now you probably could argue that maybe the nether bricks should be used as a fuel source because, well, nether and hot, but it's still not supposed to be used as a fuel. It's just a really silly thing. So this is something that you can do in the current update if you feel like getting rid of your nether bricks. I totally should have made a video on this like a couple of weeks ago, but it kind of got buried in my notes for Bugrock. Yeah, I got like a list of like 1,000 bugs. Things get lost. Anyway, if you guys remember, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video about what happens when you go through a nether portal in the end dimension. It basically allows your player to get teleported back to your respawn point, and then your player becomes a chunk loader, and you can kind of desynchronize from that and become like a spectator mode person. It is actually quite fascinating. I would highly recommend that you check out that video if you have not already. However, if you do this bug on a super flat world like this one right here, it is actually significantly different. So if we go through this nether portal, as you can see, we are now at Y32,765 because reasons, basically. So it's completely different if you do this bug on a super flat world compared to when you do it on a regular world. And overall, it's just a super fascinating and strange little quirk of Bedrock Edition, and I actually really quite enjoy this. Now, if we teleport down to the lower parts of the world, back to where our spawn point is, you can see that I'm still desynchronized from where the player actually is, so I can place down some blocks, but if I try to break these blocks, we don't get any noises from them. If I place blocks there, you can see that they all come back, and there's just a whole bunch of strangeness and weirdness with this bug, and you should totally play around with this on a copy of your worlds, or make a new world and play around with it, because it is quite the interesting and strange way of breaking Bedrock Edition. So next up, we got a small bug that probably no one cares about, and probably only affects me, and probably only I care, because clouds. We got ourselves a bug with clouds. So clouds will render in front of water sources, as you can see here with the squid farm. All those clouds on the left side and all those clouds on the right side are rendering in front of the water and kind of like behind the glass. You can see none of them are rendering in the middle, and that's probably what it should look like. So it's just kind of a really strange thing that clouds might render in front of your water sources or in front of your bubble columns. And I noticed this when I was building my squid farm on Truly Bedrock, of course. We have another visual bug among us. Sometimes when you're holding a trident, it will appear to be on the left side of the screen, such as if you were holding holding it in your left hand, and then if you go into third person, it'll actually be like sticking out of your neck, and it looks very painful. I've had this happen to me a couple of times, but it does kind of happen randomly. I'm not entirely sure how to reproduce this, but this might be something that you see. And now we have another bug with foxes as well. I covered a pretty fun one a couple of episodes ago where they could pick up armor and then equip it and wear it, which is amazing, and that might actually be on its way to being a proper feature instead of a bug. Regardless of that, we have a bug where foxes will always sleep on lower half slabs, even if it's during the daytime. As you can see, it is noon right now, and these right here are lower slabs, and the foxes are all basically sleeping on them. So I just spawned in these foxes, so we can spawn in a whole bunch of extra ones, and we'll just see them basically fall asleep really quickly on them, as you can see here. Now, they should not do this, and I'm not entirely sure why they do this, but they do it, and they're absolutely adorable. So if you want to keep a fox in your base or something, and have it just be absolutely adorable at all times of the day and night, then go ahead and put it on a lower half slab and it will sleep just fine for you. As you can see, upper half slabs do not have the same effect, and full blocks also do not have the same effect either. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Bugrock of the Week. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed this episode and perhaps learned something new. Horse, get out of here. I'm trying to record an outro. If you have any ideas for what I should do for the special 100th episode, of course, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, that's going to do it, and thank you so very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, maybe leave a like. It helps out the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in the next video. And then there was silence.